Trash your cash, trash your cash. Trash your cash, trash your cash. Is the idea trash or is cash? Let us know. Yes, maybe so, or for sure, it's a no. Should we stop while we ahead and turn around, or it's a go? Trash or is cash? Go on ahead, submit your vote. Hey yo, check dig, you're now tuned in to Trash or Cash Podcast, the show where the hosts will present a new idea and debate whether it's trash or cash. But the final decision is solely up to you, the audience.
Welcome to the Trash or Cash podcast.
Yes, sir.
And this is a show for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. And I'm glad you got to be here today. So, Case, I don't know, have you seen any of them episodes?
I saw a few, about 3 or 4 episodes, yeah. The entrepreneurship one, I saw a lot of ones, yeah.
Awesome. So I don't have to explain this to you too deeply, but for anybody who's just kind of tuning in for the first time, This is about ideas, right? So entrepreneurs getting together, chopping up ideas, getting to know each other a little bit better, and then like sharing ideas that might be too wild or crazy, or it might just be so crazy that it'll make insane money. We don't know yet. That's what this is about. So ideas are one thing, reality is another. So what we're going to do is we're going to share ideas after we get to know each other a little bit better.
Definitely.
And then, I'm going to figure out if what you tell me is trash or cash, and you're going to figure out if what I tell you is trash or cash.
Right.
And then we're going to hopefully part as friends. Sometimes somebody might catch feelings. And you don't know what we talk about. Somebody may be like, you know what, that's awesome. Let me develop that. And I say this because real talk, the last time I did a project like this, I ended up with a tech company that I'm founder of right now, Trashmitter, because one of the people I interviewed decided they wanted to be a founder with me.
Oh, wow.
So here we are. So if something like that can happen from just testing out a theory like this podcast, who knows what can happen from this if I just go longer, deeper, and with more people. So here we are. We're in the middle of a social experiment that I call the Trash or Cash Podcast. And thank you for joining me today.
Appreciate you.
Today, my guest is Dr. J. What's your full name again? Because I don't
J.R. McIntyre.
J.R. McIntyre,
yes.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to be confused with like Dr. J or somebody else? Or?
No, he's a sports player, but the reason I put the doctor in front of it because it's manifestation. I'm in school for my doctorate in business.
Okay.
I'm about to be done with my master's in business, and just grinding because I think as an entrepreneur, you have to understand business as a whole, and I went the extra step. That was it.
Okay, so off of that, tell me a little bit. Give me like, what do people need to know about you right now? Like, where are you at right now in life? What do you do? Who do you serve? Just hit me with that 2-3 minutes real quick.
Right now, I pivoted from doing security and providing security because I was in the military to motivational speaking and life coaching and business consulting because I think it's good to go out there and touch the people and understand, give them a little bit of motivational tips, but also live your life accordingly, but also life coach them through situations where some people are back up because it's embarrassing. I went through a hardship a couple of years ago, bankruptcy, and when I went through that, a lot of people stopped messing with me because of that situation, because how I would look on them. So right now I'm motivating. I'm on stage talking to entrepreneurs. I'm going to school talking to group homes. I'm life coaching to military, to people who came back from combat, to people who can't get back into work, people who are dealing with stress, anxiety, PTSD. And I'm business consultant to the people that failed in business or need an extra step like you're doing to put an idea out there.
PTSD. I can't say I have that on the level that you do, but I was diagnosed with that from the fire department, and maybe we'll dig into that either today or later. But this is about happiness.
Right. Yeah.
Let's talk. Let's get into some deep stuff. So I'm going to ask you these 3 questions, and then I want you to just, this is for people to get to know you better, because I always like to know where people are coming from, where they're at right now, and where they're headed. So this is going to give anybody out there listening to this or watching this a good idea of like who you are and what you're about, so that they can get to know, am I gonna, do I like this guy? Do I really want to get to know this guy? Can I trust this guy? And hopefully that will, if all goes well, give you more business, right?
Yep,
because,
definitely.
You're working your way through it right now. So, all right. So let me ask you this. So what are you most proud of?
My number one thing I'm most proud of is being a father. That's big in the culture from where I'm coming from. I had an excellent father that pushed me and pushed me so hard that I used to hate him, but I'm glad to who I am right now and what I'm doing in life. And I love my kids. I have 3 kids. I have a 22-year-old daughter that's in Vegas, and she's an entrepreneur. She's a hustler. She is by any means necessary. I have a son. He has a business aspect, but he's in high school, and he's 17 right now. And then I have his sister, which is Gigi, and she's a sports player, and she just loves life too. So it's just my kids. That's my greatest accomplishment. And then after that is business.
Not the Bronze Star?
Yeah, the Bronze Star is very huge, but in our military world, a lot of my guys passed away with that award, so we don't really talk about it a lot, but my father was the one that made me feel proud of who I was when I had the Bronze Star and what I did for my country, so that's really big for me in that aspect as military, because you don't see a lot of African-American males walking around with that award that's alive, that was in combat and lived to talk about it.
Yeah, and I kind of get from your tone about how you feel about that. So because I was a firefighter, right, you always get this thank you for your service, thank you for what you do, but it's bittersweet because of what happened to get you there. Right. And as much as you appreciate that acknowledgement, it also reminds you of something dark and not so fun. Right. And so it's kind of like you acknowledge it, but it's almost like, and it's not for anybody to stop appreciating that, right? Like, I don't want somebody to say, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't say that to them. Right. But again, it's part of the PTSD. It's part of like of a life of service. Right. Like, you know, you did something. Right. You're done. It's over with. Right. And it's an accomplishment, but unlike maybe like a gold medal or something else, it's like it comes with this heavy memory, this price, right? So. Right. You know, I felt that when you were talking, and if nobody else out there caught that, I did. So I got you. I
appreciate it. Yes.
So, what are you most excited about? What's going on in your life right now?
Right now, I'm most excited about is just touching the youth and touching people who need to be motivated. I think it's a lot of motivational speakers it's really attractive now. And a lot of people that are getting on stage and talking and getting a lot at this time, they're not really certified. They're just talking from other people's experiences, like rappers do. Rappers, I know an uncle that knew something that did something. But talk about your own experiences and then go get certified in that. Understand that, hey, if you're going to touch the right type of people, I don't care if it's one person in that room, you make sure that you grab them by the attention and make sure you live your life accordingly. Because if you out here telling or motivating and leading these people down the wrong path, you're responsible for what happens to them.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, like me, if you hear about some 25-year-old life coach, you're going to be like, come on, bro. Like, that, excuse me. Right. That irks me, right? Because you ain't lived enough life, right? And for you to get up on a stage and share a life experience, like how much experience you have? Not to discount that somebody who maybe like escaped, a country that was oppressed and they had to, maybe they lost their parents and came through adversity, real adversity, right? But you're right about the motivational speaking and life coaching kind of world right now, and I was curious to hear like how you're doing that, who you're appealing to the most. Right. So your life experience is like, military, obviously, security, adversity. Right. When someone says they're a business coach, but then they say, I went through a bankruptcy, that should raise an eyebrow, not in a bad way, because if most people, first of all, anybody successful, you probably got a lot of, we talked about that, a lot of failures, a lot of court cases, a lot of things in the past that got you to the point you are, but nobody wants to hear about all that. No. They just want to hear about the wins, the losses, under the rug. And bankruptcy to some people is so ugly. Oh, I can't trust that dude. Right. He's irresponsible. Well, what did he learn from it, right? Sometimes, unfortunately, what do they say? That the kids got to touch the fire and get burnt to know what it's like. Definitely. And you touched the fire and you got burnt, but you also figured out some things that other people can't. Right. I want to circle back to the bankruptcy thing real quick, because I want to get past this next one, but I'll tell you why in a minute. So what's your vision for the future? Like you 5 years, 10 years from now, what are you doing? What's that look like for you? And then we're going to talk about this one. Okay. The next 5 years, first of all, I want to tell all entrepreneurs out there that it's okay to have a 9-to-5. We're telling people right now as entrepreneurs to start something without something. And I think that's the basis of
the confusion going on in entrepreneurship. I think that you should have a day job and use that money to fuel your goals and your passions. And right now I speak about having a day job, having a passion job, and having a gift job. My day job, I'm a superintendent right now. God blessed me after the bankruptcy to get hired at age 40 years old with a real job. I never had a real job. I went from military to entrepreneurship. Then you got to have a passion job. My passion is security. I still will go out there and provide security for certain clients that I trust. And then my gift job is speaking, motivation, podcast, life coach, business consultant. I think it's imperative that you understand these things and when you push that envelope forward to these young entrepreneurs, because we out here selling a false narrative that go start a company, but I ain't never met a person who got an SBA loan. I ain't never met a person that registered to go apply for a loan and got the loan and was happy. The only people I know who got them loans was PPP loans when we were going through COVID, and half the money left in 6 months. I got a PPP loan, and my company in 6 months used all that for the wages to pay the employees.
So many ways we can go down that path, but your target, like, so for me, if I was to look at the person who I want to appeal to the most, who I want to help the most in this world, right? So I'm going to describe mine, and then I want you to describe yours, because I hear it, but I wanted to hear it kind of like more concise, right? Okay. So for me, it's a subset of who I am, right? Right. So overall to entrepreneurs, right? Yes. So that's the big circle. Yeah. Inside that, father entrepreneurs, dadpreneurs, I call them. Inside that, if I'm lucky, dad entrepreneurs that want to adopt, that are Christians, that have a good heart, because that was my journey. Right. And I'm going to talk to you. The bankruptcy thing has something to do with that. Okay. And then keep diving down. Right. But entrepreneur, Tampa entrepreneurs, right. Tampa dad entrepreneurs. Like, you see, I'm getting real focused, and the reason is because that's where my heart lies. So for me, for you, obviously the young people, right? Maybe it's young African American or Latino, or just people of color, right? Is there any deeper subsets of that? Only because if you want to be the dude, don't they remember for that thing? Like how what's yours? Like your subset?
My subset is the veterans. Okay. Veterans that are struggling with getting out the military and trying to find a way, and then trying to find a way into entrepreneurship that is glorified by the houses and cars. Teach them about the losses. A lot of these veterans that get out are dealing with disabilities, dealing with struggling. So if they fail again, we deal with a high suicide rate in the military that might strike a nerve and something might happen to them. So tell them the real soon as they get out the gate. Let them know, understand, give them topics, show them real life scenarios.
So who is this? Who's this? Let's introduce. If you're listening to this, you can't see. It's a her, right?
No, it's a him. He just got a man bun.
Yeah, he's a pretty little dude. Yeah. Talk to us about him, because you just mentioned veterans, and we touched on PTSD. We touched on a lot of things. Yeah. So we have this young man right here. Tell us about him. What's his purpose?
This is Mega Man right here.
Mega Man.
After I got out the hospital from doing 55 days in inpatient, I got him in 2015. He's an emotional support animal. He helps me with my anxiety, my PTSD, my stress, everything. But Mega God put him in my life to save my life. Prayer Jim picked me up, but I'm not married. So when I'm home alone and I'm doing things without my kids, he's right there. So I called him Mega because he's small, but he's huge heart, and he will give you everything when you need it.
And he's just basking in your love right now. Yes. What breed is that? Look like
he's a Shih Tzu. Imperial Shih Tzu. Yeah, right, and he chills. He's very behaved. Yeah,
and he has his own.
He has his own Instagram.
Social media?
Yes,
Mr. What is Mega it? Man. Might as well drop it.
Mr. Mega Man. You can find him, or if you go on my page, Dr. J.R. McIntyre, Dr. J.R. 80s Baby, you will see him tagged, and follow him. He shows them nothing but love. I do let him go with other people to show the love, because that's what he's all about, is giving love.
Got some nice drip too.
Yeah, definitely.
The fit.
Yeah.
So before we get into Trash or Cash, I wanted to share one thing. So the topic that has been circling all of us, and I guess I started it, was I dropped this thing about if you're not getting, celebrate your first lawsuit. Right. And what it was like, if you're not doing, if you're not getting sued or you're not in court, you're not doing enough. Nope. And everybody, all the entrepreneurs started chiming in like, yeah, here's my court case. I'm in the middle of this right now. And you just dropped bankruptcy. Yeah. And I too flirted with that because of, long story short, real estate, housing market dropped, ended up with 2 short sales, yada, yada, yada. I had to let them go cheap, but like that struggle of just trying to hold on to, what and your lifestyle. Right. And then, you also have to, sacrifice and give some things up. Right. So it's like you're fighting two battles at the same time. Your right hand is fighting lawyers and your left hand is fighting banks. And it's like you're in the middle and then you got family and everything like that. So one thing I learned about bankruptcy, and I could say that this was not me, this is totally God. A lot of friends during that time of mine, entrepreneurs, was like, yeah, you know what? You got them kind of problems. You should just go into bankruptcy. Now I was working full-time as a firefighter. Right. It was just, real estate costs a lot of money. Right. And of course you make mistakes, you over leverage and you end up in these problems. So fortunately I was able to, I'm a hustler, wholesale, do other things to get extra money to keep holding on to pay for court costs. Right. But at the end of the day, you got to face this reality like, hey, this is a lot. I can't sleep. Right. People are dependent on me. What do I do? Right. And not that bankruptcy is an easy way out, but for some people it can be, especially it depends on how big the problem is. Right. But because for me at this time, we were adopting our first kids, and actually we ended up adopting 5 children. I learned after being in all that first of all, the stability of having a regular job, you're so on point. It taught me how to be an employer and an employee at the same time. It taught me how to balance out because you got to be able to put on different shoes if you're going to be any kind of a leader, right? Like you got to be like, you can rail at your boss, he don't know what he's talking about, but you've never been your boss. Right. So if you're employing people like virtual assistants or just anybody at the same time making money that way, and you're working in a job, kind of like you're in that place kind of right now, right? Now, yep. So you get to see both sides and it makes you more well-rounded and most likely a better leader. Back to the bankruptcy, I learned that thank God I didn't do it. Right. Because I would have never been able to adopt kids, because if you ever have a bankruptcy on your record, kind of like a criminal record, they will not let you adopt a kid because you're financially insolvent. Wow. In other words, it prevents you from doing great things in other people's lives. You don't look at it that way because you're in this hole right now bleeding out and you're like, I got to survive. However, I was in a place where I had to sort of, with like I said, with God's help, patch up my own wounds and kind of say fight battles with 2 arms and do all these things because kids' lives were about to be affected. And at the time it was only 1, then it became 2 because these things take time. Like, you had 2-3 years of drawing out of back and forth. Right. Happy ending. Everything got resolved. I was able to go and actually represent myself pro se and some other things I had to learn how to do for the sake of survival that got me through where I was able to settle and I got good counseling and stuff like that. But if it wasn't for that, these kids, not just 1 kid, 5 kids' lives probably would have been affected by me taking a bankruptcy. So I was able to get out of it without it. We recovered, everything got straightened out. Long, arduous process, but it taught me a lot of things. But that was my takeaway. So if anybody is out there hearing this, if you're in a position like that and you ever intend to adopt, reconsider the easier way out and try to find a way. And I, you can reach out to me as a resource and I can, however you want to get a hold of me. And I'll tell you kind of some of the things I did. Podcast ain't, long enough for that. But but the real talk of that, the entrepreneurship journey of like, being in this situation where there's lawsuits in courts and it ain't fair and people should just let you go because of your situation and all this you get wrapped up in. Guess what? Like when you're in a war, the enemy don't care, that you're ducking bullets, that you're running out of ammo, that you're bleeding out, that everybody's dying around you or that people depend on you. They want their money. They want their result. F you, pay me, right? Like, so you have to be able to remember that. That's why you do work a job as an employee and become a boss, because you need to be able to be an intelligent, to fight intelligently. And maybe that's a Sun Tzu thing or something like that. Like you got to know your enemy and you got to be able to have compassion also, and
the art of war,
and emotional intelligence, and all these other things. So I don't think that anybody out there with like less than 30 years of age, unless they escaped some country, of oppression, has that in them to be telling anybody else how to handle stuff. Right. That's wisdom that comes with age and experience, and a lot of bad stuff. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to share that piece, which hopefully somebody will hear this one day and be like, yo, that's me.
Right.
And somebody will hear you and be like, yo, that's me.
Definitely.
And we both do what we came here to do, which is, reach out and open up our hearts and our gifts to other people so that they can partake, because it sucks when you have all this in you and there's nobody to impart it upon. And that's why we have kids and people. But hey, there's more than enough, right?
Right. Definitely.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So now the fun part. Okay. We're gonna talk some trash or cash ideas.
Let's do it.
And I'm gonna look at what I got. But if you got so the idea is simple. So what these are paddles, and one is a trash and one is a cash. So if anybody needs to see it, that's what that looks like. Okay. And basically it's an idea that as entrepreneurs we might have had rolling around in our mind, clunking around, call them zombie ideas because they keep coming back to haunt us. And sometimes just like exercising, having a baby or something, you just got to get it out, whether it's a good or a bad idea, so that you can move on to bigger and better things or double down on it. Mm-hmm. So this is the part where we get to have fun and say, I don't know if I should do that or shouldn't do that. And I want your opinion, and you're gonna give me yours, and we're gonna leave friends and maybe, I don't know, business partners, because it's happened before. Yes. So what kind of what kind of idea did you bring to the table today?
Oh, I have three, and one of them we already talked about, but I'll talk about the first one I wanted to bring to the table is a motivational app, and an app that you can find different motivational speakers from different walks of life, and understanding which ones you want to come to your event. If it's speaking at a council, if it's speaking on a podcast, if it's speaking at a school, at a church, you get to choose these people from their credentials, and then you get to click on their links to see how they interact with their communities, and then you get to click on their links to see their videos on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, and understand which motivational speaker that you are bringing in. But this is an app that you go to. It's just like DoorDash or Uber. You choose who you want, you put what you want and how much you want to spend, and then it'll select your speaker.
So with that one, right? So there's a lot of professed consultants, coaches, all this, and motivational speaker can probably be put into that, because mostly motivational speakers are authors and stuff like that. Yeah. So how would you quality-wise vet these people? Because not for nothing, but not everybody's that good.
Right. And a lot of these people are not vetted because of situations they have not been through. It sounds good, but is that your gift? So I would vet them through certifications, what you have done for your community, where you spoke about, where your story is about. Have you came from something to make something? Have you inspired? How many have you inspired? Who are you touching? Who are you reaching? So these are all of the select buttons that you can select and pick who you want, and your Rolodex comes up.
And who's the customer for this? Like, in other words, so for something to be a great idea versus a good idea, it has to sustain itself, obviously, right? Otherwise, it's going to go out of fashion or whatever, right? Yeah. So what are the ways that you could scale this to be a $1 billion company? How do you monetize this? I mean, is it just like an agency kind of thing model? All right. Because the thing about agency models is like hustle whoever's hot and stuff like that. So it's almost like an influencer kind of whoever's hot, whoever's not, trends, things like that. And then what is the minimum requirements? So you say impact and stuff like that. Yeah. How do you train them to be actually good? Like, what are the minimum, hey, you got this many followers is not really it.
We're not going off followers though, because I know people with 2 followers that can kill a whole room. And I know people with 1 million followers that you're not telling me anything I don't know.
Yeah, but other than a PR agent that takes somebody and says, hey, this is the greatest in sliced bread, you should use them, and then they get on the app. Like, how would you vet the quality of these people? What's a minimum? I don't want to say a certification, because that's not really a true test. It's like, but they got to have some kind of minimum standard?
Yeah.
What would that be for you?
The minimum standard, like the SOP operating procedure, is just being in that field. That's what you do. That's your gift. That's your passion. That's your job. You're speaking, you're consulting, you're life coaching, you're going around doing all these things. And not only are you certified, because people can be certified or not certified, you're educated. You have something substantial that can back you up. Right now, I have associates and a bachelor's and a master's degree in business. So have something that can say, hey, I was consistent in doing something for so long that now I'm ready to help people and tell my story in the background. So,
who pays for this service?
We will.
The app?
My company will, like to say, if you're selected to be on this app and you're lacking certain of these credentials and this is what you want to do, it's kind of like a 707. Like, it's kind of like when the kids are playing sports, like who's selecting them to go to these camps? So you would get selected to go to a certain camp that a bunch of big time entrepreneurs, motivational life coaches are teaching you how to develop to get on this app.
I'm going to give this a cash with a caveat. And the reason it needs to be done to make it easier to find the right people for the right audience. Right. But it would need like a board.
Yes.
And a selection process. It might be something to the point of, not a velvet rope, but like this thing that keeps people, any old person, like you have to do these 3 things. You have to get referrals from somebody already in there, right? So let's say Tony Robbins wants to be a part of this company. Mm-hmm. Okay, so first of all, if Tony Robbins puts a stamp on anything, it's kind of gold.
Right.
But some people may not like him or whatever. So like a board, let's say 4 or 5 people that are kind of like known and well respected already, right? And they're like, let's say, not the board, but they kind of come up with these requirements. And then you got to get like 3, you got to put in this work. You have to have spoken in 3 places and gotten favorable reviews. So you're doing the first ones for free because you do that anyway, right? And then based off of that, you get these kind of check marks and you say, okay, we can put you on this thing. And then from that, it's an agency model where it's like, hey, we get 15 or 20% of whatever you book. Yeah. We're going to do a little bit of, not hustling, but we're going to put you out there, promote you, get you to the right channel, stuff like that. Right. But this is our cut. Like, just like a manager cut. Not like an agencies are 10. So more like a manager cut. Right. But for 20%, you don't need a manager hustling for you. Like the app will kind of do it for you. That's where it can be cash. I don't know how big it could get. Right. But, that could be a 8-9 figure business, maybe. Right. Especially because other countries like India and other people are like, that's growing big there. Right. So it's not just the US market I'm thinking about like where else are they deep into self-development, and like Asia is huge. Right. Between North America and South America and Asia, you kind of don't need the whole world, but that's big enough to really do something with. So this is a world. So that's why it could be cash. We don't have a lot of time for more ideas. Well, we want to go real brief on the other one, or like, how about we save it?
Okay, I mean, it doesn't matter whatever time you have. Real briefly though, like you touched about it before, and another client that came in here talked about it before. But since I was very indebted into security, we was already creating something like that. It was a security app, and my app, it was like choose your protector. And you would have a personality test, you would have a strength and conditioning test, you would have a soft skill test, you would have a hard skill test, and the clients will select you on who you are and your credentials. Like when I became a bodyguard, I went to 2 different bodyguard schools. It wasn't because I look tough or I shoot the best or I fight the best. You have your credentials on there. Does he do Krav Maga? Does he do jiu-jitsu? Does he have a good stand-up? Do he know how to work around corporate clients? Can he do soft skills? Can he drive? Do he know the routes? Do he know the status objective? Do he know the threat assessment? Do he know the psychological profiling? A lot of people don't understand that with security. It takes a lot of psychological profiling when you meet your client and when your client tell you, be on the lookout for. So I would create that app and put the best protectors on there, and you pick and choose who you want for that weekend or that day or that month with their price range. You drop a deposit, and that now you get to know you're a security agent.
Got it. And I introduced you to them, but that's called Safe Guy in my world. Yeah. He's part of my Project 10K group. Yeah. And it's viable. It's, in a nutshell, sort of like almost like Tinder for security, where it's like swipe. Okay, that guy looks big enough. I need him. Yeah. His skill set's fine. you know, I only need them to keep paparazzi off of me versus, no, I need somebody who done, if somebody got to get taken out, they got to get taken out.
Right.
And, you know, whatever your budget is, and then you match it up, and then you can just travel the world and not have to maybe have a security detail, but you have a trusted on-demand security force right in your phone, which, you know, I actually, Westworld, well, there was something in Westworld that was kind of a version of that, but they use it for assassins and hitmen. Yeah. But it was almost like that. It was like they just tell you, hey, go to work, go do this. Here's your partner.
Mission, yeah.
And it was actually kind of cool. But it's funny that we're talking about that right now. So
you don't have to work for no company. That's obviously
cash, because it's actually happening, and there's versions of it now in the world. So good with that. So I'm going to just drop something real quick. I'm going to ask you this as if, I'm asking you this because I want to hear your opinion about it. It doesn't exist yet. Right. So part of business is trying to not keep your expenses down, right? So I have a trash business called Trash Matters, on-demand trash service, 2 to 10 bags is where we specialize. But eventually, over the course of time, we want to be able to handle 2 bags to 20 tons if we need to, right? And all in one place, so you could just press a button, tell them what you want. Here's the prices. Here's the going rate. You know, no matter who you pick, you're gonna pay something around this, and it's just kind of like whoever gets it done the fastest. One of the key elements to that was something I called the Good Neighbor program, and I'm going to ask you this as a father and as a potential person who would do this, right? So one of the things people sometimes need is somebody needs to take their trash out to the curb, right? Why? Because if you've ever broken your foot and you're the man of the house, you still got to go take out the trash if you don't have a big boy. So I remember busting my ass in the snow and the rain, taking out trash because all my kids were too little. I'm not going to make my wife do it, but I'm over here getting hurt over this. So part of the app would be like, hey, you know, somebody elderly, limited mobility, injured, could just either somebody in my family could pay for it. Like if it's my aunt, I could just press a button and some kid from the neighborhood's going to do it. I don't have to go out there and run around and do it. Or, you know, somebody in the network would do this for this purpose, either all the time, monthly, or just on occasion, vacation time. It's kind of what you choose, right? And your price point is, you know, if it's a subscription, it's obviously going to be cheaper than a one-time deal, but you could do that too. Or 6 weeks if that's what it takes you to recover, 8 weeks, whatever. Part of that, so because I'm about kind of trying to keep the earth, you know, not trying to add more carbon if I can, you know, just do things a little more responsibly. One of the things is if you have service people who are running around in cars, you're generating more carbon. So yeah, you're getting trash out the right way, but like you're also kind of this other offset, right? So I call this the Good Neighborhood program, and I kind of got the idea from T-Mobile, because I don't know who your phone service is, but if you have that T-Mobile gives you free Netflix. Now, what is the value of Netflix subscription right now? Like $15, $16, right? But it's high value because everybody, you know, it makes my life easier, right? So if I was to pay someone in money to go take out, like a neighbor, to go take out trash, because I actually kind of do that now. I've been testing it out. If I don't have to send somebody else to do it and I can just pay the neighbor to do it, it's not something the person would actually ask the neighbor, but the neighbor will do it for a couple of dollars. And so I figured that out. So on a bigger scale, I call it the Good Neighbor program. And this could be kids, vets, anybody, where if the trash needs to be taken out in a certain proximity, it could be next door, a couple of doors down, and you wanted to make extra money, you would just do it and you would get paid every week, $9, $10, whatever, right? Or a higher value thing might be, and this is what the part that saves the earth is, what if I just said to you, hey, if you take out your neighbor's trash here, you're going to get your Netflix paid for the month, okay? The value of that, because first of all, people don't want to get paid for something because they think, well, my time's worth more than that, so I'm just going to do it for free. So there's that kind of argument. Right. But if you give them something higher value, it's not so bad because they're like, well, I already use that, so why not? And I'm doing a favor. So if I traded a $15, $16 Netflix digital deliverable, I just paid your account as long as you worked for me, you would do the guy next door's thing. And instead of it costing me $30, $40 a month to get you to do it, and it now costs me $16 and I save the earth.
There you go.
Right? So this is how I think. So, and you know, and
it's a package deal. Yeah.
Well, the point is, if you were a dad, if you were a kid, if somebody approached you and said, hey, I have this program called the Good Neighbor program. I got 3 of your neighbors, right? And one's old, one broke his foot, and one just wants it done because he has an Airbnb and he can't get out there every week. If you, in 1 square block radius or 2 block square, could do that for me every week, I will give you free Netflix and Disney. I'll pay that for you till you stop doing what you're supposed to do. And all you got to do is take it out, take a picture when it's out, and take a picture when it's back, and that's all you got to do.
Right.
Would you do that?
I would do that, definitely, because
why? I want to hear why.
The why is the conveniency of it. Like, it's like, okay, thinking of from a youth perspective. As a youth, when we was growing up, we had certain options to make money: cut grass, throw paper, do certain things in the neighborhood for the older neighbors in the neighborhood. Now, right now, Netflix and social media is booming. So if you tell a child from 17 on down, like, hey, I got 4 or 5 neighbors that you can earn, you could throw out their trash and own a subscription to Netflix or to this social media platform.
For the kids, my thing was, what's the most important thing to a kid right now other than money?
Their tablets.
The phone.
The phones, yeah.
So here's the deal. The first time, okay, you do one house, you do these 2 houses on your block, you get your phone paid for free.
Yeah.
Now, then you level. It's levels. You do 4 of them.
Yeah.
You get your Disney.
Yeah.
You do a whole neighborhood. Let's say 10.
Yeah.
I got you on 10.
Yeah.
You got free Wi-Fi now.
There you go.
Right.
Yep.
So, and then as you keep it digital as long as possible, just because there's no load on the earth. It's just already out there, and you're obviously paying wholesale rates. But from a business perspective, this is how you do what I want to do, which is consolidate, gamify, and democratize waste management so that we don't have waste anymore.
Right.
We're like literally, we don't have to drive everywhere. Everything gets consolidated a certain way, and it becomes one big game. Right. And that's the way to me to do it, is just these little incentive levels of what you already use, these utilities, right? And turning that into, it's alchemy. It's turning trash into cash for these kids. And the hustler and the kid is like, I want to create little ecopreneurs. How to clean up the earth and make money at the same time. And these are the levels of it. And this is what it looks like. And then you get paid for the exercise, and you get paid to go clean out. We need you to go clean up this mess over here. It's 2 blocks away. You do this. Now it starts to turn into money. Like, I can pay you $30 for this job versus now you're making real income. The trick about paying kids though is bank accounts, but that I actually have a solution for that too, but that's another piece of this.
Right.
But you like that, right?
I like that, yeah.
I wasn't trying to convince you. I just wanted to hear what you, as a person who is not into that world, got some kids, and you were like, oh, I would do that myself because you have that in you. So trash or cash idea?
I think that's cash, but create packages for these kids. A gold, platinum, bronze package that they can understand that, hey, I'm going to sign up for these years to do this, but also have tutoring and mentor involved to this, so it's cash.
Got it. Yeah. Education part of that, because you get bored. Like, well, how can I like any employee? Yeah. How can I do more? How can I get more money? How can I level up? Right. You got to keep that going, or if they see a ceiling, if there's a ceiling to it, they're not going to be down. They're going to be like, it's good for now, but I want to. How can I flex? How can I get the car? Right. You can't do it with subscriptions to Netflix and all. So what's the next level? So yes. Educational aspects, obviously, managing money and certain levels, and teaching them how to think like that to be efficient and effective, not just effective and throw a lot of money at it, or inefficient, but the bare minimum's getting done. Like, where's the balance? So that cool. I wanted to hear what a I want to say a civilian, because you're not in the world of trash, would think of something like that. Right. So cool. Thank you for that. So. Look, that was fun, right?
That was fun. I like that.
Kind of getting into. So we got to wrap this up. So I just wanted to thank No, it's cool. I wanted to thank the space that we're in. This is called the Real Freedom Collab. Yeah. Office space, meetup space. It's a membership site.
Definitely.
Real estate entrepreneurs and educators, entertainers. A lot of people in this building.
Yes, sir.
So definitely invite me back, and I know you got a place to show me too. So
definitely. I got a place I want to show you. Yes, definitely.
But yeah, if anybody out there wants to reach you on your socials, you want to give them that real quick?
Yeah, definitely. If you want to reach me on LinkedIn, it's J.R. McIntyre. I do a lot of motivational business on there. Instagram is Dr. J.R. 80s Baby. You can hit me with a Z on there. And if you want to hit me on TikTok, it's Right Hand to God Management and Consulting. You can see a bunch of my motivational speaking. You can see a bunch of my life coaching and interaction. You can see a lot of my teaching, my gym, my shooting, my fighting, everything that creates this whole persona of who JR is.
Cool. So like somebody in a school that might want to get you in there, they reach out. Like that's who you really want to deal with right now. Like kids in school and potentially people that might have some kind of veteran services. Like those are kind of your lanes. Okay. And you're in the Tampa and Sarasota, basically it's a Central Florida area. You'll get here however you got to get there if they need you.
Yes, I'm all over the place. I'm speaking in Connecticut in August at UConn, the School of Business. So you can reach me on LinkedIn if you need me to enter them platforms too as well.
Cool. I'm just trying to get you some work here, so you don't have to just spend money to go out there.
Yeah, definitely.
But, you travel. That's cool too. So for me, it's my personal is the Dad Next Door on the socials, on Facebook, Instagram, all that. My business is Trashmitter, Uber for Trash. We're your personal pollution solution. I'm always working on that. And then, that's it. I mean, that's the pod.
Yeah.
That's the energy. I thank you for sharing your best friend with me.
Definitely. Yes,
I think that was pretty cool. I wish you could talk, man.
Yeah.
Maybe make a little segment for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you probably do got a lot to say. Anything you want to leave the people with? Some kind of motivational? Give us your best motivational. Take us out of the Trash or Cash podcast with your best motivational quote, to leave somebody with after seeing this.
Definitely. Faith is a substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So faith is just like Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is everywhere now. The world is evolving and it's AI. Just make sure you tap into that source. If you need mentors, coaches, or life coaches, or someone that's just been involved in that situation, make sure you use faith. It's like Wi-Fi. It's all over, but make sure you get the right coverage.
Because you got to have faith. You should just throw that on.
Yes, sir.
That's it, guys. Yeah. Thank you for joining us on the Trash or Cash podcast, and we out.
Definitely. Boom. Appreciate it, brother.
Well, that concludes this episode of Trash or Cash. Make sure you follow on all socials at Trashmitter. That's TRASHMITTER. And keep up with all episodes at trashorcashpodcast.com.